Donkey Kong just slammed his long thick banana on the table and critics can't stop praising it. According to early reviews, Donkey Kong Bananza might be the best Donkey Kong game literally ever, and some are even calling it Nintendo's next Mario Odyssey. And if that's true, then this could be the second home run for the Nintendo Switch 2, and Lord knows they need it. However, there is a catch because the game isn't perfect. So today we're going to dive deep to find out if Donkey Kong Bananza is worth your money or if it's just a load of monkey business, ladies and gentlemen. But first, what's going on, guys? Cheers. So as you guys know, Donkey Kong Bananza comes out today on July 17th, but lots of critics already got their hands on it so game reviewers could give the public their first impressions on day one. And right now OpenCritic has Donkey Kong Bananza listed at a 91 out of 100 with 100% of critics recommending the game. That's actually kind of insane. Taking a closer look, we'll see that Donkey Kong Bananza finds itself right over here. 91 puts it in the 99th percentile of games scored on OpenCritic. That puts Donkey Kong Bananza above Mario Kart World, at least at the time of recording this, when it comes to average critic score, which really makes me wonder why Donkey Kong Bananza didn't launch with the Switch 2. I mean, this is the open world 3D platformer that Nintendo is famous for, right? You would expect a game like Donkey Kong Bananza to launch with the Switch 2. Was it simply not ready yet? Did they have to just polish a few more things before they could launch it? I mean, what could 4 extra or 5 extra weeks do? Popping over to Metacritic, you can see that the Metascore is currently sitting at a 90, so actually pretty close. Obviously these rankings are oftentimes based on much of the same critic ratings, right? But it has earned a Metacritic must play award. So everyone who's gotten their hands on Donkey Kong Bananza so far is saying that the game is incredible. So let's take a look at what they actually have to say here. Let's start with Tom's guide. Donkey Kong Bananza is the 3D Donkey Kong game I've always wanted and one of the best reasons to get a Switch 2. Donkey Kong Bananza and its destructible environments are the best case for the Switch 2 yet. Donkey Kong Bananza is a joy to play from start to finish thanks to the game's destructible environments and unique visuals. It's the 3D Donkey Kong game fans of the character have always wanted, and it lives up to the hype, even if there are a few minor issues with its camera here and there and far too many Banandium gems to collect in a single playthrough. A couple of pros here: we've got fully destructible environments, beautiful voxel powered visuals, engaging gameplay that keeps you guessing, and interesting enemies in a Banandium gem challenge. Cons are some camera issues and almost too much to collect. Wow, that actually sounds a little bit familiar to Donkey Kong 64 if you guys remember that game, which, by the way, yes, this is the first 3D Donkey Kong game since Donkey Kong 64, ladies and gentlemen. It's been over 25 years since Donkey Kong 64 came out in November of 1999, bro. I cannot. Oh my god, I'm so old. Jesus. IGN says Nintendo's Great Ape finally returns to the spotlight in a truly groundbreaking adventure. Bananza is one of the best 3D platformers I've ever played. That's actually an insane praise because 3D platformers are not a new genre, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, again, we're talking about 25-26 years of 3D platformers. That is one of the best praises you could even give the game, to be honest with you. Bananza never stops pulling fresh ideas right off the vine. Wow, very clever. I see what you did there. Okay, Bananza looks great with expressive animations and colorful environments. The gloves truly come off during the post-game content. That's actually good to know. We'll talk about why in just a minute, but they go on to say the sheer power of Bananzas also come into play during the boss battles, which are cool but pretty easy for the most part. Now, I've actually heard that from multiple different reviewers at this point that I've read, that the boss battles are a little bit easy, which is unfortunate. IGN's verdict is the leader of the bunch is finally back to kick some tail in Donkey Kong Bananza, a brilliant successor to Super Mario Odyssey and a smashing return for a classic Nintendo character. That is, I mean, Mario Odyssey is sitting at a 97 on OpenCritic, so to say that this is a worthy successor to Mario Odyssey is again a really high praise for Donkey Kong Bananza. It was a bold choice to build the Switch 2's first 3D platformer around Donkey Kong instead of Mario, but it's proven to be the best decision Nintendo could have made. DK's satisfying expressive movement and powerful dynamic abilities create a truly groundbreaking adventure. The ambitious destructible layers of this underground world are densely packed with satisfying collectibles, abundant charm, and clever challenges that never seem to run out of smart ideas even long after the credits have rolled. Bonanza is a constant crescendo across its 20-hour campaign and beyond, with puzzle platforming concepts that only grow richer as DK and Pauline dive deeper into the planet core. Every element comes together in a complete harmony to create Nintendo's first Switch 2 masterpiece, which means they think that this is better than Mario Kart World. And right therein lies a problem with Donkey Kong Bonanza that you may have already picked up on already, and that is the fact that if you're looking to just run through the game, you're just looking to go through the story, go through all the levels, and just do what you need to do to complete the main campaign. I should say, it's not really a campaign, it's just the story of the game. You're going to be looking at about 20 hours of gameplay, right? And I think that for some people, they might find that as a bit of a con, right? A lot of people might look at that and say, well, wow, like this is a $70 game, right? Which, you know, it's not 80 like Mario Kart World, but it's still $70, and $70 is like a lot of money, right? And so if you're looking at it as, you know, $70 for 20 hours of gameplay, well, you know, there's a lot of other games out there, especially right now. We had the Steam summer sale. There's been plenty of deals on, you know, Prime Day and similar adjacent sales for other retailers, right? So a lot of you guys might have recently picked up a couple of games that are at least 20 hours or more worth of gameplay for way less than $70, right? And so I think that right there is the value proposition of Donkey Kong Bonanza. Now let me be clear, right? They did specify that it's 20 hours, you know, if you're just running towards the credits, right? If you are looking to collect everything, if you're looking to explore everything that the game has to offer, you're going to be getting way more than 20 hours worth of gameplay out of the game, right? And so, you know, if you are a lover of 3D platformers and games like Super Mario Odyssey, then yeah, I would say this game sounds like it's probably worth the $70, because you're probably going to play it more than the 20 hours, if I'm being honest with you. But if it's been many years since you've touched a 3D platformer and it's typically not a genre that you love and you're just kind of looking for something new to play on the Switch 2, well, I mean, reviews are strong, and so this is a good place to start. But if you don't love the genre, I mean, big surprise, you might not find that the 20 hours for Donkey Kong Bonanza is necessarily worth it, right? Exerto gives the game an 80, saying from start to finish Donkey Kong Bonanza is a riot. I wrapped up my journey to Bonanza's credits in a little over 20 hours. So there we see some corroborating evidence, right? It seems like multiple reviewers are saying that the game is about 20 hours. Okay, your mileage will vary widely depending on how much optional content you decide to invest time in, but that's the beauty of it. If you're not big on collectathons, there's still plenty of game here for platforming purists to enjoy. I can't recommend enough taking on the various trials. Think shrines from Breath of the Wild, littered throughout the world, though, especially if you're a fan of 2D Donkey Kong. While performance issues were largely non-existent in handheld mode, quite severe frame rate drops were commonplace when docked, especially during certain boss battles. That's interesting. Now, I have read on other reviews that there are some frame rate drops as well. Why it would be more so the case in docked mode, I'm not necessarily sure. Maybe it's because we're upscaling. Don't know what's going on there. This doesn't take into account any day one patches that may or may not arrive on release, and not egregious enough that your enjoyment will be hampered, right? And so I guess that's another really big point here, is that these reviewers have review copies of the game, right? And so like the day one patch could have a bit of optimization built into it, and you may not even notice much of those frame rate drops during those boss battles. Eurogamer says Donkey Kong Bonanza is a delightful and inventive adventure and one of DK's best. Smash or pass, ladies and gentlemen. A 4 out of 5 stars, so yet another 80 out of 100 effectively. GameSpot says Donkey Kong Bonanza is a new start for Nintendo's first star. Donkey Kong Bonanza is a raucous, wildly inventive and propulsive platformer that reboots one of Nintendo's most iconic mascots. I don't have any keen insight to Nintendo's process, but if you told me that Donkey Kong Bonanza was crafted by a Voltron-like supergroup of key developers from its biggest franchises, I would believe you. Now, as you guys know, I actually revealed in a video a few weeks ago at this point that there were some key members of the Mario Odyssey team working on Donkey Kong Bonanza. So again, we have multiple points on the graph pointing towards Donkey Kong Bonanza being a worthy successor of Super Mario Odyssey. So if you loved Mario Odyssey at this point in the video, if you're still watching, if you liked Mario Odyssey, you probably want to get Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's kind of an open and shut case there for you. I mean, this game is literally for you, made by some of the same exact people from the same exact company. But here's another point that I find interesting. At first glance, it bears the strongest resemblance to Super Mario Odyssey, from which it gets most of its fundamental mechanic, structure, and game feel. Then it augments that with physics-based terrain deformation and experimental flexibility reminiscent of Tears of the Kingdom. Finally, it merges both of those two into what serves as a soft reboot of Donkey Kong, borrowing its bits and pieces from all over the Kongiverse to make something that is both recognizable and fresh. The result is an excellent platforming adventure that moves with its own propulsive force, constantly beckoning you to dig a little deeper. So here's the good that Eurogamer points out: platforming moves with propulsive force, constantly pushing you to keep exploring. Bonanza forms feel powerful and nicely differentiate your power sets, acting as Zelda-like tools. New layers and material interactions offer constant delightful surprises. DK and Pauline's bond feels genuine and sweet. It's just fun to punch through things. The bad: fossil currency for costume unlocks can be confusing. Camera sometimes doesn't know how to deal with punching holes through the environment, and some performance issues as things get more chaotic. So again, we are seeing some recurring themes here for downsides for the game. And so if you're still watching and you're wondering, is Donkey Kong Bonanza worth it, I would say, well, if you like 3D platformers, it's a no-brainer. This game is literally made for you. You probably should pick it up if you have a Switch 2. If you're looking to play a 3D platformer with a friend, a sibling, a significant other, or one of your kids, then you can play 2-player co-op in Donkey Kong Bonanza, and you can even play on the Switch 2 and the Switch 1. So let me just be very clear here: this is a Switch 2 exclusive game, but you can kind of game share the 2-player experience to a Switch 1, which is kind of surprising, honestly, but that's also very exciting and good news for families and people that only have one Switch 2 and one Switch 1, but you've got more than one player who wants to play the game. That's really awesome. And again, if you liked Mario Odyssey, then Donkey Kong Bonanza is probably for you. Now, some of the downsides, like I said, are we've got some camera issues, we've got some occasional frame rate issues from what I can tell during big boss fights, or maybe during a massive particle effect moments when you're destroying things, or when things are getting destroyed on the screen. And also, you might only get about 20 hours out of the game, depending on how much you're into collecting different things that are potentially optional and how much you want to explore in the post game. So all in all, Donkey Kong Bonanza looks like it might just be a must-have for Switch 2 owners if you're a big fan of the 3D platformers. And I'm gonna be honest, guys, if you are an early adopter of the Switch 2, you probably like 3D platformers. You're probably here for that special sauce that Nintendo is known for, okay? And early reports suggest that Donkey Kong Bonanza is here to deliver. So the last thing to touch on here is, you know, if the game is only 20 hours and it's $70, should you just wait for the game to have some sort of deal, sale, price drop, you know, wait for Black Friday, whatever the case might be? And I would say under normal circumstances, this is probably the type of game that I would recommend that for, right? Like a lot of times I won't buy, you know, for example, Sonic X Shadow Generations, right? I didn't pay full price for that game. I waited till it was $30 on sale. You know what I mean? However, this is Nintendo, and what we know from Nintendo's past is that they will not be lowering the price. It will probably say $70 in perpetuity for the remainder of the Switch 2's life cycle, unless the game just sells so absolutely poorly that they need to lower it a little bit to move it near the end of the Switch 2's life. So I don't predict Donkey Kong getting any sort of big sale or price reduction, at least for the next couple of years. Like if you're gonna wait for that, you might be waiting a really long time. So just keep that in mind. I really wouldn't hold your breath. But guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is Donkey Kong Bonanza a game that you're looking to get on launch day or launch weekend? I'm curious to know what you guys think about these early reviews, and if the game looks exciting to you, let me know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time I upload gaming news. Consider dropping a thumbs up on the video. It really does help out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other Donkey Kong enjoyers might see it. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.